My cousin dumped their kids on me for 18 years. Payback time. The doorbell rang at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I knew my life was about to get complicated again. I wasn't expecting anyone. Maya, Jake, and Emma were all settled in their own places now, Maya finishing her residency in Denver, Jake running his marketing firm downtown, and Emma in her senior year at Northwestern. At 40, my evenings had finally become my own after 2 decades of homework help, soccer practices, and bedtime stories. Through the peephole, I saw a woman with bleached blonde hair and too bright lipstick, shifting nervously from foot to foot. It took me a full 10 seconds to recognize her. Sarah. My cousin Sarah, who I hadn't seen since she was 23 and I was 18, standing on this exact doorstep with 3 sobbing children and a garbage bag of their clothes. Tommy. Her voice was different now, raspier. Oh my God, you look exactly the same. Well, older, but you know what I mean. I didn't invite her in. Sarah. I know this is weird, just showing up like this, but I've been clean for 8 months now, and my sponsor says I need to make amends and reconnect with family and... She gestured vaguely, like the rest of the sentence was somewhere in the air between us. Can I come in? It's freezing out here. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. She walked into the living room, the same living room where I taught Maya to read, where Jake had built elaborate Lego cities, where Emma had practiced violin until the neighbors complained. Sarah's eyes swept over the family photos covering every surface, graduations, birthdays, Christmas mornings, Maya in her white coat, Jake at his business launch, Emma at her junior prom. They're so beautiful, she whispered, picking up Maya's medical school graduation photo. Look how successful they turned out. I always knew they'd do great things. The audacity hit me like a physical blow. You always knew. Well, I mean, they have good genes. The whole family is smart. And I made sure they ended up somewhere safe, with someone who could give them what they needed. She set the photo down carefully. I've been following them on social media. Maya's going to be a pediatrician, right? And Jake's company won the Small Business Award last year. Emma's studying pre-law. I'm so proud. You're proud. I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. Of course I'm proud. They're my kids. She turned to me with this bright, expectant smile. I was hoping, well, I'm in a program now, getting my life together, and I'd love to reconnect with them. Maybe you could help me reach out. I know it might be awkward at first, but blood is blood, right? I stared at this woman, this stranger, who had the same eyes as the children I'd rocked through nightmares and held through their first heartbreaks. She was talking about Maya, Jake, and Emma like they were distant relatives she was curious about, not the 3 terrified kids she'd abandoned without a backward glance. Things are a little tight right now, she continued, settling onto my couch like she belonged there. The program doesn't pay much, and my apartment is pretty small, but once I reconnect with the kids, I'm sure we can work something out. Maya's probably making good money already, right? That's when I realized this wasn't just about reconnection. This was about money. This was about 3 successful young adults who, in Sarah's mind, represented a potential goldmine. And that's when I decided Sarah was about to learn exactly what 18 years of consequences looked like. You want to work something out, I repeated slowly. With Maya, Jake, and Emma. Well, yeah. I mean, I missed out on so much, and they've done so well for themselves. Maya must be making 6 figures soon, and Jake's business. She trailed off, maybe finally noticing the expression on my face. I just think it's time we were a real family again. I walked to the mantel and picked up a photo from Emma's high school graduation. Sarah wasn't in it, obviously. But there I was in my best suit, the one I bought at Goodwill and had tailored because I couldn't afford anything nicer, standing between Emma and Maya while Jake photobombed us from behind. All of us laughing. Tell me about Christmas 2009, I said, not turning around. What? Christmas 2009. Emma was 8, Jake was 10, Maya was 12. What did you get them? Silence. I turned around. Sarah was fidgeting with her purse strap, that bright smile faltering. Tommy, I was in a really bad place then. I got Emma a violin. Used, from a pawn shop, but I'd been saving for months. She'd been humming constantly, making up little songs. Jake got a chemistry set because he kept asking how everything worked, why soap made bubbles, why leaves changed colors. Maya got books. Always books. And a diary with a little lock because she'd started writing stories about a girl who could talk to animals. I set the photo down carefully. I also got the matching pajamas because Emma had been having nightmares and the only thing that helped was sleeping between Maya and Jake in my bed. I figured if they all looked the same, it might feel more like a fun sleepover and less like trauma. Sarah's face had gone pale under her makeup. Look, I know I wasn't perfect. Do you know Maya's middle name? Of course I do. I named her. What is it? Another pause. Longer this time. It's Rose, I said. After your grandmother, you know, the woman who raised you after your mom died. Maya used to ask about her family tree for school projects. I had to piece together stories from what little I remembered you telling me when we were kids. I moved to another photo. Jake at his 8th grade science fair, holding a trophy. Jake broke his arm when he was 7. Fell off his bike trying to keep up with the older kids in the neighborhood. You know what he said in the emergency room while they were setting the bone? He said, "Don't call my mom. She won't come anyway." 8 years old, Sarah. He was 8 years old and already knew not to expect you. That's not fair. I was sick. Addiction is a disease. Emma's first period. Age 11, in the middle of math class. The school called the emergency contact. Me. I had to leave work, bring her clean clothes, and then go to CVS to buy supplies because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I called your Aunt Linda, crying, asking for help because I was a 29-year-old man who knew nothing about raising a daughter. I was standing now, all the careful control I'd maintained for 2 decades starting to crack. Where were you for Emma's panic attacks? Maya's college applications? Jake's first business pitch when he was so nervous he threw up twice? Where were you when Maya decided on pediatrics because, and I quote, Tommy always made me feel safe when I was scared, and I want to do that for other kids. Sarah was crying now, mascara running in black streaks. I was getting better. I was trying. You were getting better for 18 years? The question hung in the air between us like a challenge. I got clean before, Sarah said quietly, wiping at her eyes. 3 years after I brought them to you. I was clean for 14 months. I got a job at a diner, saved up money. I was going to come back. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What happened? I drove by the house one day. It was a Saturday morning, and you were all in the front yard. Maya was teaching Emma how to braid friendship bracelets on the porch steps. Jake was washing your car with a hose, spraying water everywhere. You were laughing at something he'd said, trying to dodge the spray. She pulled a tissue from her purse, her hands shaking slightly. They looked so happy. So settled. Emma was giggling, actually giggling, Tommy. When I left her here, she hadn't made a sound for weeks. Selective mutism, some doctor had called it. But there she was, chattering away while Maya fixed her hair. So you just watched? I sat in that car for 2 hours. I had a whole speech planned, you know. About how I was better now, how I wanted to make things right. I'd even bought presents. Stupid stuff from the dollar store, but I thought. She shrugged helplessly. Then Maya scraped her knee on the concrete. Just a little scrape, nothing serious. But she ran straight to you. Not hesitating, not looking around for other options. Straight to you, like you were the most natural thing in the world. I remembered that day. Maya had been wearing her purple shorts with the butterfly patch that I'd sewn on myself after she'd torn them the week before. The scrape had barely been bleeding, but she'd looked at me with those big brown eyes like I could fix anything. You cleaned it up with this little first aid kit, put a band-aid with cartoon characters on it. Then you kissed her forehead and she skipped back to Emma like nothing had happened. That's when I knew. Knew what? That I wasn't their mom anymore. Not really. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper now. I was just the woman who gave birth to them. You were their parent. For a moment, something almost like sympathy flickered in my chest. Then she kept talking. But I figured I'd stay in touch, you know. Send birthday cards, maybe visit during holidays. Keep some connection. She straightened up, dabbing at her nose. I moved to Phoenix after that. Met a guy, tried to start over. Things didn't work out, they never do, but I always planned to reach out when I got stable. 18 years, Sarah. You had 18 years of stable moments. Time just got away from me. And then I saw Maya's graduation announcement in the paper when I moved back to town last month. Dar. Maya Chen, she kept your last name. She chose to keep it. They all did. Legally changed when they turned 18. Something flickered across Sarah's face, hurt, maybe, or anger. Chen. Not even our family name. I adopted them when Maya was 16. It took 3 years of legal battles because we couldn't locate you to terminate your parental rights. They wanted my name. You never tried to find me. I hired 2 different private investigators over the years. You were good at disappearing. I crossed my arms. But that's not why you're here now, is it? You said things were tight financially. Sarah had the grace to look embarrassed. The program I'm in, it's great for recovery, but the transitional housing is temporary. I need first and last month's rent for an apartment, and maybe a little help getting back on my feet. I thought, since the kids are doing so well. You want them to pay your rent. Not want. Need. And it's not like I'm asking for charity. I'm their mother. There it was. The real reason for this midnight visit, the tears, the story about watching us from her car. Sarah needed money, and she decided that 3 successful kids she'd abandoned were her ticket to financial stability. How much? I asked. Maybe $5,000 to start. Just until I get settled. $5,000. About what I'd spent on Jake's senior year alone, class ring, graduation announcements, college application fees, prom tuxedo rental. That's when I smiled. Really smiled, for the first time since she'd walked through my door. I think it's time you met your children. Sarah's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? You'll help me reach out to them? Oh, I'll do more than that. I pulled out my phone. Maya's actually in town this week. She's between rotations and staying in the guest room upstairs. Jake's coming over for dinner tomorrow, he does that every Wednesday. And Emma will be home this weekend for her spring break. The color drained from Sarah's face. Wait, Maya's here. Now. She got in around 8. Probably still awake, she's been pulling all-nighters at the hospital. I started scrolling through my contacts. This is perfect timing, actually. She's been working pediatric emergency, dealing with a lot of kids in crisis situations. She'll have so much to talk to you about. Tommy, maybe we should plan this better. No, you said blood is blood, right? That you wanted to reconnect. I was already typing. Maya, can you come downstairs for a minute? Someone's here to see you. Sarah stood up abruptly. I should go. It's late, and I don't want to impose. Nonsense. You've waited 18 years for this moment. I gestured toward the couch. Sit. She'll be down in a second. Footsteps thundered down the stairs. Maya still took them 2 at a time like she had when she was 12. She appeared in the doorway wearing scrubs and fuzzy slippers, her long black hair pulled back in a messy bun. At 28, she looked exactly like the serious little girl who used to line up her stuffed animals and play doctor, except now she actually was one. What's up? I was just reviewing cases for, she stopped mid-sentence, staring at Sarah. Oh. I didn't know we had company. Maya, I said carefully, I'd like you to meet Sarah. Your birth mother. Maya went very still. I'd seen her do this before, during her medical training, when facing something unexpected. Complete composure while her mind processed rapidly behind those dark eyes. I see. Her voice was perfectly neutral. Doctor voice. Hello. Sarah had started crying again. Oh my God, look at you. You're so beautiful, so grown up. I can't believe. I mean, I saw photos, but seeing you in person. She took a step forward with her arms outstretched. Maya didn't move. I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Are you visiting from out of town? I live here now. Well, nearby. I just moved back, and I've been wanting to reconnect with you and your brothers for so long. Brothers? Maya's eyebrows rose slightly. You mean Jake and Emma? Yes, of course, sorry. I'm nervous. It's overwhelming, seeing you again after all these years. Maya looked at me, then back at Sarah. All these years. How many years exactly? Sarah fumbled with her purse. Well, I mean, you were little. I was 10 when I stopped expecting you to come back, Maya said quietly. Tommy had to take me to therapy because I kept having nightmares about you being dead in a ditch somewhere. Dr. Morrison helped me understand that some parents just can't take care of their children, and that didn't make it my fault. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. But I did take care of you, Sarah said desperately. I made sure you were safe. I brought you to Tommy because I knew he'd. You abandoned us. Maya's voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath now. You left 3 children on an 18-year-old's doorstep and disappeared for nearly 2 decades. Sarah looked to me for help. I examined my fingernails. I was sick, Sarah whispered. Addiction is a disease. I know. I'm a doctor. Maya crossed her arms. I also know that addiction doesn't prevent you from making a single phone call in 18 years. It doesn't stop you from sending a birthday card or a Christmas present. It doesn't make you invisible to private investigators. My chest swelled with pride. This was my girl, brilliant, direct, unshakable. I tried to come back once, Sarah said. I was clean, I had a job. When? You were about 14. 12, I corrected. She was 12. Maya's expression didn't change. And what stopped you? You all looked so happy without me. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she laughed, a short, humorless sound. We looked happy. At 12, I was having panic attacks about Tommy dying and leaving us alone. I used to check his breathing every night to make sure he was still alive. Jake was stealing food from the school cafeteria because he was afraid we didn't have enough money for groceries. Emma was so terrified of abandonment she couldn't sleep unless all 4 of us were in the same room. Sarah's face crumpled. I didn't know. But we worked through it. As a family. The 4 of us. Maya glanced at me. Tommy, I'm going back upstairs. I have early rounds tomorrow. Wait, Sarah called out. Please, I know this is a lot, but I'm clean now. I'm trying to rebuild my life, and I was hoping we could get to know each other again. Maybe I could take you to lunch sometime. Maya paused at the bottom of the stairs. Are you asking me on a date? Because that's what you do with strangers. The words hung in the air like a slap. Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. I'm not a stranger. I'm your mother. No, Maya said, turning back toward her. You're the woman who gave birth to me. There's a difference. She looked at me with those steady brown eyes. Tommy's my dad. He taught me to drive, helped me with calculus, held my hair back when I had food poisoning sophomore year. He's the one who co-signed my student loans and called me every Sunday during medical school to make sure I was eating actual meals instead of just coffee and granola bars. I felt my throat tighten. Even after all these years, hearing her call me dad never got old. Sarah was getting desperate now. But I want to be part of your life. I want to make up for lost time. You can't. Maya's voice was matter of fact. That time is gone. Those moments when you could have been my mother. Tommy was there instead. Every single time. She started up the stairs again, then paused. Oh, and if you're wondering about financial help, because that's why you're really here, isn't it? I put myself through medical school. Tommy helped when he could, but I have $130,000 in student loans. Jake bootstrapped his business with a $15,000 loan from his girlfriend's father. Emma works 3 jobs to pay for Northwestern. Sarah shot me an accusatory look. You didn't help them with college. I helped with what I could, I said evenly. State school tuition for Maya until she transferred. Emma's textbooks. Jake's first office deposit. But I'm a high school guidance counselor, Sarah. I don't exactly have trust funds lying around. But you said they were successful. They are. Because they worked their asses off. Maya's voice carried down from halfway up the stairs. Just like Tommy taught us. After Maya's footsteps faded down the upstairs hallway, Sarah slumped back onto the couch like someone had cut her strings. That didn't go how I imagined, she said quietly. What did you imagine? That they'd run into your arms crying happy tears. I sat down across from her, suddenly exhausted. These aren't the babies you left here, Sarah. They're adults who've built lives without you. I thought, maybe they'd be curious about their mother. Want to know where they came from. They know where they came from. They came from here. This house, this family we built together. Sarah pulled out her phone and started scrolling through something. Look, I found Maya's Instagram last month. Look at this post from her birthday. She held up the screen showing a photo of Maya blowing out candles on a homemade cake, surrounded by Jake, Emma, and me. The caption read, 28 years old and still getting the best birthday cakes from the best dad in the world. Hashtag blessed, hashtag family, hashtag homemade. She calls you dad publicly, Sarah said, like she was just realizing it. On social media. She calls me dad everywhere. Has since she was 16. Sarah scrolled further. And here's Jake's post about winning that business award. The photo showed Jake holding a plaque, his arm around my shoulders. The caption, none of this would have been possible without my dad Tommy, who taught me that success isn't about where you start, it's about how hard you're willing to work. This one's for you, old man. Her voice was getting smaller. Emma too. Look, Dad surprised me at school for my recital. Drove 4 hours just to hear me play for 20 minutes. I have the best family. The photo showed Emma in her concert dress, hugging me outside the Northwestern Music Hall. They love you, she whispered. And I love them. More than my own life. Sarah set her phone down with shaking hands. There's no room for me, is there? In this family you built. For just a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered 3 terrified children crying themselves to sleep that first night, asking when their mommy was coming back. You had 18 years to make room, Sarah. 18 years of birthdays and Christmases and scraped knees and broken hearts and first days of school. You chose not to show up. She was quiet for a long time, staring at the family photos surrounding us like evidence of a life she'd forfeited. What if I stayed, she asked suddenly. What if I moved back here permanently, tried to build something slowly? That's when I knew it was time for phase 2 of my plan. Actually, Sarah, I think that's a wonderful idea. Sarah's face lit up like I just handed her a winning lottery ticket. Really? You think it's a good idea? Absolutely. In fact, I think you should stay in town for a while. Get to know the community. Maybe we can introduce you to some people. She leaned forward eagerly. That would be amazing. I've been so isolated in recovery, and I know building a support network is important. Oh, you'll love our support network here. Very tight-knit community. Everyone knows everyone. I pulled out my phone. Actually, my neighbor Carol is having a little get-together this Friday night. Nothing fancy, just some people from the neighborhood, a few teachers from my school. You should come. I'd love that. Sarah was practically glowing now. It's been so long since I felt like I belonged somewhere. Perfect. Carol loves hearing people's stories. She's very curious about family dynamics. I scrolled through my contacts. And you know what? Jake's girlfriend Lisa is a social worker. She specializes in family reunification cases. She'd probably find your situation fascinating from a professional standpoint. Sarah shifted slightly. Professional standpoint? Oh, just the psychology of it all. Addiction, family separation, the long-term effects on children. She's actually writing her master's thesis on something similar. I looked up from my phone with an innocent smile. She interviews a lot of families who've gone through trauma. Always looking for case studies. The enthusiasm on Sarah's face flickered just a bit. Case studies? And Emma's roommate at Northwestern, her mom runs a mommy blog. Super popular, like 50,000 followers. She's always posting about different parenting situations, what works, what doesn't. Really gets into the nitty-gritty of family psychology. I'm not sure I want to be anyone's blog post. Oh, don't worry about that. Although, you know how young people are with social media these days. Everything gets shared eventually. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. Can I get you some coffee? We have a lot to plan. What kind of things need planning? I started the coffee maker, taking my time with the filter and grounds. Well, if you're serious about reconnecting with the kids, you'll want to be prepared for questions. They're all pretty analytical, comes from the academic environment, I guess. What kind of questions? Oh, you know. Timeline stuff. Where you've been, what you've been doing. Maya especially is very detail-oriented, medical training, you understand. She tends to create comprehensive histories for everything. I leaned against the counter. Jake's the same way with his business background. He researches everything thoroughly before making decisions. Very methodical. Sarah was fidgeting with her purse strap again. I can explain my situation. I'm sure you can. Although, they might want to verify some things. Emma's pre-law, so she's gotten pretty good at fact-checking. Just last month she helped her study group expose some inconsistencies in a mock witness testimony. Brilliant girl. The coffee maker gurgled to life, filling the silence. Sarah was staring at the family photos again, but her expression had changed. Less nostalgic now, more calculating. Tommy, maybe I should think about this more carefully. I don't want to rush into anything. Rush? Sarah, it's been 18 years. How much more time do you need to think? This is more complicated than I expected. I poured 2 cups of coffee, added cream to mine. What's complicated about wanting to reconnect with your children? Unless. I paused, cup halfway to my lips. Is there something you haven't told me? Something that might be difficult to explain? No, of course not. Because if there are any surprises in your background, it's better to get ahead of them. Maya, Jake, and Emma have built really solid reputations in this community. Maya's already being considered for chief resident. Jake's company is up for another award next month. Emma's applying for internships at some very prestigious law firms. Sarah set down her untouched coffee. What are you saying? I'm saying they've worked hard for their success. And this is a small town, Sarah. People talk. The words hung between us like a threat, which I suppose they were. Sarah's face had gone completely white now, the cheap makeup standing out in harsh relief against her pale skin. People talk about what? She asked carefully. Oh, you know how it is. Social media makes everything so public these days. Someone posts something, it gets shared, pretty soon the whole town knows your business. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Maya has 847 followers on Instagram, mostly other doctors, nurses, people from the hospital. Jake's LinkedIn has over 2,000 connections in a business community. Emma's got friends all over the country from her pre-law program. Sarah's hands were trembling slightly as she reached for her purse. I think I should go. Already? But we were having such a nice catch-up. I settled back into my chair. You know, I was thinking about that story you told, about watching us from your car when Maya was 12. That would have been 2006, right? Yes, I think so. Funny thing about 2006, that's when I installed the security system. Maya was having those panic attacks I mentioned, and part of her anxiety was about strangers coming to the house. So I got cameras for the front and backyard, motion sensors, the whole setup. Sarah went very still. Security cameras. Oh yes. I've got everything archived. 20 years of recording stored on external drives in the basement. You'd be amazed what you capture over the years, package deliveries, lost dogs, door-to-door salespeople. I paused. Cars that sit across the street for hours. The silence stretched between us like a wire about to snap. I'm sure in 2006 the image quality wasn't great, Sarah said finally. Probably hard to make out details. You'd think so, but technology was better than you might expect. Clear enough to read license plates, definitely. Clear enough to see faces through car windows. I pulled out my phone. Actually, I've been digitizing the old files lately. Maya suggested it, said it would be good for insurance purposes, having everything organized and accessible. Sarah stood abruptly. I really need to leave. But what about Friday night? Carol's party. I already told her you might come. She's so excited to meet you. Maybe another time. Carol's actually great at genealogy research. Loves tracing family histories, finding out where people have lived over the years. She traced her own family back 6 generations last year. Found relatives in 12 different states. I scrolled through my phone. She's got subscriptions to all those background check websites, property records, court filings. Really thorough. Sarah was backing toward the door now. Tommy, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Has there? What kind of misunderstanding? I don't think I'm ready for this kind of reconnection after all. What changed? 5 minutes ago you were excited about staying in town, building relationships. Sarah's hand was on the doorknob now. I just need more time to prepare myself emotionally. How much more time? Another 18 years? She flinched like I'd slapped her. That's not fair. You're right. What's not fair is showing up here at midnight asking for money from children you abandoned. What's not fair is expecting them to support your new life when you couldn't be bothered to be part of their old one. I was sick. And now you're better, right? Clean for 8 months. I stood up slowly. Funny thing is, Maya mentioned she did a rotation at St. Mary's Addiction Clinic last year. Part of their program is family counseling for people in recovery. She said most people in long-term sobriety programs spend years making amends, rebuilding trust gradually. Sarah's face was pure panic now. I don't know what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Real recovery involves accountability. It involves putting your children's needs before your own. It involves understanding that forgiveness isn't automatic just because you decide you want it. She pulled the door open. Cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of rain. This was a mistake, she said. Yes, it was. Your first mistake was leaving those kids on my doorstep. Your second was staying away for 18 years. But your biggest mistake? I smiled. Your biggest mistake was thinking you could come back now and claim credit for the people they became. Sarah stepped out onto the porch, then turned back one last time. They're still my children, Tommy. Legally, biologically, that doesn't change. You're absolutely right, I said. Biology doesn't change. But families? Families are built on presence, Sarah. On showing up. On choosing to love someone every single day, even when it's hard. I started to close the door, then paused. Oh, and Sarah? If you really are serious about recovery, about making amends, start by leaving them alone. Let them choose if and when they want you in their lives. That's what real parents do. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. Through the window, I watched Sarah stand on my porch for a full minute before walking to her car. As she drove away, I saw Maya's silhouette at the top of the stairs. Dad? You okay? Yeah, sweetheart. I'm fine. But as I watched Sarah's taillights disappear, I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next morning, Maya cornered me in the kitchen while I was making coffee. She'd already been up for 2 hours, old habits from medical school, and was sitting at the counter in her scrubs, scrolling through her phone with a frown. Dad, we need to talk. I poured myself a cup and leaned against the counter. About last night? About what you're planning. She set her phone down and gave me that direct stare that had intimidated attending physicians twice her age. I know you, and I know that look you had when she left. You're not just going to let this go. She showed up here asking for $5,000 from kids she abandoned. I think I handled it pretty reasonably. You handled the conversation reasonably. But I heard what you said about Carol's party, about security cameras, about background checks. Maya crossed her arms. What aren't you telling me? I took a long sip of coffee, buying time. Maya had always been too perceptive for her own good. I may have done a little research after she left. What kind of research? I pulled out my laptop and opened the browser tabs I've been working on since 3 a.m. Public records mostly. Turns out Sarah's been busy these past 18 years. Maya came around to look over my shoulder as I clicked through the pages. Arrested in Phoenix, 2018, theft under $500. Evicted from an apartment in Tucson, 2019. Small claims court judgment in Albuquerque, 2020, failure to pay rent. Dad. Oh, it gets better. I scrolled down. Engaged to a Robert Martinez in 2017, I found the announcement in some local paper. Engaged to a David Chen in 2019. Different David Chen, by the way, no relation to us. And according to this Facebook post from 3 months ago, she's in a relationship with someone named Kevin Walsh. Maya was quiet for a moment, reading over the details. She told you she was alone, getting her life together. She told me a lot of things. The question is, how much of it was true? I opened another tab. I also found 3 different GoFundMe pages she's created in the past 2 years. Help Sarah get back on her feet, single mom needs a fresh start, and my personal favorite, reuniting with my children after addiction. Maya's eyebrows shot up. She's been crowdfunding a reunion with us. Posted 2 weeks ago. Look at the description. I read from the screen. After years of struggling with addiction, I'm finally clean and ready to rebuild my relationship with my 3 successful children. My daughter is a doctor, my son owns his own business, and my youngest is in law school. I just need help with travel expenses and a place to stay while I reconnect with the family I love so much. Jesus. Maya sank back onto her stool. How much has she raised? $1,200 from 47 donors. I scrolled through the comments. Look at these responses, so brave of you to reach out. Your children are lucky to have such a strong mother. Family is everything, wishing you the best reunion. Maya was reading over my shoulder, her expression growing darker. She's been planning this for weeks. Gets worse. I traced the IP address on the GoFundMe to an address in Henderson, that's about 40 minutes from here. She's been living there for at least 3 months, not just moving back like she claimed. With this Kevin person. That's where it gets interesting. I opened Facebook and showed her a profile page. Kevin Walsh, 52, unemployed, recently divorced. According to his ex-wife's very public posts, he's got a gambling problem and owes about $15,000 in back child support. Maya stared at the screen. So she's not just looking for money for herself. Bingo. I'm betting Kevin's the one who found you guys on social media, realized what a goldmine he was looking at. A doctor, a business owner, and a law student. That's like winning the lottery to people like them. Maya was quiet for a long moment, processing. Finally, she looked up at me. What are you going to do with all this? I'm going to make sure she doesn't hurt you or your siblings. I closed the laptop. And I'm going to make sure the whole town knows exactly who Sarah really is. Dad, I appreciate you wanting to protect us, but we're adults. We can handle. Can you handle her showing up at your hospital, claiming to be your mother to your colleagues? Can Jake handle her contacting his clients, spinning some sob story about being cut off from her successful son? What about Emma's internship interviews? How's it going to look if Sarah starts posting on social media about being rejected by her ungrateful children? Maya's face went pale. You think she'd do that? Maya, she's already doing it. That GoFundMe is just the beginning. I opened my phone and showed her a screenshot. I set up Google Alerts for all your names last night. This morning I got a hit, someone posted in a local Facebook group asking if anyone knew the Chin family because they have a family member trying to reconnect. Oh my god. It gets worse. Jake's business address is public record. Emma's school has a student directory. Sarah knows where to find all of you, and now she knows I'm not going to just hand over money and access. Maya stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. So what's your plan? Humiliate her publicly. I'm going to tell the truth. Every single detail, to every person who'll listen. Starting with that party at Carol's on Friday night. Maya turned back to me. And if she doesn't show up? I smiled grimly. Oh, she'll show up. Because as of an hour ago, Kevin thinks he's about to meet his meal tickets. What did you do? I created a fake Facebook account and messaged him directly. Told him I was a family friend, that you kids were eager to reconnect with your mother, and that we were throwing a welcome party Friday night. I pulled up the message thread. Look at his response. Maya read Kevin's message aloud. That's amazing. Sarah's been so worried they wouldn't want to see her. She'll be so happy. Should we bring anything? She looked up at me. Dad, this is starting to feel like entrapment. This is called consequences, sweetheart. Sarah's had 18 years to do the right thing. Now she gets to face the music. Maya was quiet for a moment, then sighed. Jake and Emma don't know any of this yet. I'm calling them today. They deserve to know what they're dealing with. And if Sarah really has changed. If she's actually trying to get her life together. I walked over to Maya and put my hands on her shoulders. Honey, people who are really trying to change don't start by asking for money. They don't lie about their living situations or create fake fundraising campaigns. They sure as hell don't bring their boyfriend's gambling debts into it. Maya leaned against me, suddenly looking exhausted. I don't want this to become a whole thing, you know. We've built good lives. Stable lives. I know. And I'm going to make sure you keep them. As Maya headed upstairs to get ready for her shift, I opened my laptop again and started typing. If Sarah wanted to play games with social media and public opinion, she was about to learn that I've had 18 years to build relationships in this community. And unlike her, I knew how to tell the truth. The call from Jake came at 2:17 p.m., right as I was finishing lunch. Dad, what the hell is going on? His voice was tight, controlled, the tone he used when he was trying not to lose his temper in business meetings. I just had a woman show up at my office claiming to be my mother. I nearly choked on my sandwich. She what? Sarah. About an hour ago. Walked right past my receptionist like she owned the place, sat down in my office, and started talking about how proud she was of my success. Jake's breathing was sharp. Dad, she knew details about my business that aren't public. Client names, project specifics, stuff that's only in industry publications. My blood ran cold. What kind of details? She mentioned the Morrison account by name, that's confidential information. She knew about the office expansion I'm planning, the new hires I'm considering. Dad, either she's been stalking me for weeks, or someone's been feeding her information. I was already pulling up my laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. Where is she now? Gone. But not before making a scene in the lobby. She started crying, talking about how I was rejecting her just like last night, how she just wanted to be part of my life. Jake's voice cracked slightly. My employees heard everything. My assistant asked if I was okay after she left. Jake, I'm so sorry. I thought after last night she'd back off. It gets worse, Dad. She left this. I heard papers rustling. It's a typed letter. Says she's planning to attend my company's award ceremony next month as my guest. She's already contacted the event coordinator about seating arrangements. The award ceremony. Jake had been looking forward to it for months, his biggest professional moment yet, with potential investors and major clients attending. Sarah was threatening to turn it into a public spectacle. I'm coming over, I said, already grabbing my keys. Wait, there's more. She said Emma called her this morning, crying, begging her to give us another chance. My hand froze on the doorknob. That's impossible. Emma's in class all morning on Wednesdays. I know. But she seemed so sure about it. Quoted specific things Emma supposedly said about feeling incomplete without knowing her birth mother. Jake paused. Dad, what if she actually did contact Emma? What if Emma's too embarrassed to tell us she talked to her? I was dialing Emma's number before Jake finished the sentence. It went straight to voicemail, which was normal during class hours, but my stomach was churning anyway. Jake, I need you to do something for me. Check your business social media accounts, your LinkedIn, everything. Look for any new followers or connections from the past month. Why? Just do it. And Jake? Don't go anywhere alone until we figure out what she's planning. After I hung up, I called Northwestern's main number and asked to be transferred to the pre-law department. It took 15 minutes of navigating automated systems and being transferred 3 times before I got a human who could check on Emma's status. I'm sorry, sir, but Emma Chin Williams isn't in class today. She called in sick this morning. My chest tightened. Emma never missed class. Never. She once attended a constitutional law seminar with a 102-degree fever because she didn't want to miss the guest lecture. I tried her cell again. Still voicemail. I tried her roommate Jessica. No answer. I tried the campus health center, the library, even the coffee shop where she worked part-time. Nothing. By 3:30, I was in my car driving toward Northwestern, breaking at least 4 speed limits and praying I was just being paranoid. But 20 years of single parenting had taught me to trust my instincts about my kids, and every instinct I had was screaming that something was very, very wrong. My phone buzzed with a text message as I hit the interstate. Unknown number. Tommy, this is Sarah. I have Emma with me. She's safe and we're just talking, getting to know each other. Don't worry, I'll bring her home tonight. We have so much catching up to do. Red heart. I pulled over on the shoulder and called 911. The 911 dispatcher was maddeningly calm. Sir, if your daughter is an adult and went willingly with someone she knows, this wouldn't constitute kidnapping. She didn't go willingly. I was gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles were white. This woman abandoned her 20 years ago and just showed up yesterday demanding money. Emma would never. Has your daughter been threatened or coerced? I don't know. That's why I need you to. I forced myself to take a breath. Getting angry at the dispatcher wouldn't help Emma. Look, my daughter is 22, she's a Northwestern student, and she has never missed class without calling me first. This woman has been lying since the moment she showed up. I can file a wellness check report, but without evidence of immediate danger. I hung up and immediately called Maya. Emma's missing. Sarah has her. What? How is that possible? I don't know, but Jake said Sarah knew confidential details about his business. She's been planning this for weeks. I was already pulling back onto the highway, driving toward Northwestern. Maya, I need you to call Northwestern Security. Tell them Emma Chin Williams may be in danger. Already on it. Dad, where are you? Driving to Chicago. Can you get away from the hospital? I'm between patients right now, but I can't just leave. Maya, she has Emma. There was a pause. Then, I'll be there in 2 hours. My phone rang as I was navigating Chicago traffic. Jake's name on the caller ID. Dad, I found something. Sarah's been following my business Instagram for 3 months, but under a fake name, Jennifer Martinez. She's liked or commented on dozens of posts. What kind of comments? Innocent stuff mostly, but now that I know it's her. Dad, she commented on a post about the Morrison Project 6 weeks ago. Asked specific questions about our client retention strategies. I thought she was a potential customer, so I answered in detail. My jaw clenched. Sarah hadn't just randomly shown up, she'd been gathering intelligence for months. There's more, Jake continued. I checked Emma's Instagram followers. Same fake account has been following her since February. She's been commenting on Emma's posts about internship applications, asking about which law firms she was considering. She's been stalking all of you. Gets worse. I called Emma's roommate Jessica directly. She said Emma got a call this morning around 8 a.m. from someone claiming to be from the financial aid office. Said there was an emergency with her scholarships and she needed to come to an off-campus meeting immediately. Ice formed in my stomach. Financial aid offices don't work that way. Emma wouldn't know that. She's always paranoid about losing her scholarships, you know how she is about money. I did know. Emma had been terrified of financial instability since she was 6 years old, when she'd overheard me crying on the phone with the mortgage company. Even now, with her tuition covered and a trust fund I'd managed to set up, she worked 3 jobs and checked her bank balance obsessively. Jessica said Emma was frantic when she left, Jake continued. Grabbed her laptop and all her financial documents. Said she'd be back by noon. I checked the time, 4:47 p.m. Emma had been with Sarah for over 8 hours. My phone buzzed with another text from the same unknown number. Emma's learning so much about her family history. Did you know her great-grandmother was a seamstress in Dublin? We're having such a wonderful time bonding. Don't worry, she's eating well. Red heart. The casual tone made my skin crawl. I immediately tried calling the number back, disconnected. I was 20 minutes from Northwestern when Maya called back. Dad, campus security reviewed the lobby cameras. Emma left around 8:30 this morning with a blonde woman in her 50s. They got into a blue Honda Civic, license plate. I heard papers rustling, 7G4, BMTX, registered to Kevin Walsh at 4247, Maple Street, Henderson. I'm calling the police. Already did. Henderson PD is sending a unit to the address now. Maya's voice was tight. Dad, there's something else. I called St. Mary's Addiction Clinic, asked about their outpatient programs. They've never heard of Sarah. Of course they hadn't. At this point, I'd be surprised if anything Sarah had told me was true. Maya, what if she's not planning to bring Emma back tonight? The silence stretched between us before Maya answered. Then we're going to find her ourselves. The Henderson police called back at 5:23 p.m. with news that made my blood pressure spike even higher. Mr. Chin. We've been to the Maple Street address. Property's been vacant for 6 weeks. Neighbors say Kevin Walsh moved out in January, left no forwarding address. I was sitting in Northwestern security office, watching them replay camera footage for the third time. Emma walking out the main doors at 8:31 a.m., talking animatedly to a woman whose face was carefully angled away from the cameras. Professional level evasion. Any leads on the vehicle registration? I asked. Car was reported stolen 3 days ago from a mall parking lot in Springfield. We've issued a BOLO alert for the vehicle and both suspects. My 20-year-old daughter was now part of a police investigation involving stolen vehicles and potential kidnapping. Maya burst through the security office doors just as I was hanging up. Her hair was disheveled, still wearing scrubs, looking like she'd broken several traffic laws getting here. Any word? Car's stolen. Address is fake. Sarah's basically a ghost. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache building behind my eyes. Maya, what if I pushed too hard last night? What if she took Emma because she knew I was going to expose her? Dad, this isn't your fault. She's been planning this for months. Jake arrived 20 minutes later with his laptop and a folder thick with printouts. I've been digging deeper into Sarah's online presence. Found 3 more fake profiles, all following our social media accounts since December. He spread the papers across the security desk like evidence in a murder trial. Sarah Martinez, Jennifer Walsh, Rebecca Chin, she's been using different combinations of names. Look at this. He pointed to a series of screenshots. She's been building detailed profiles of all of us. Screenshots of our posts, copies of our photos, even maps of our regular locations. Maya leaned over his shoulder, scanning the documents. Jesus, she's got Emma's class schedule, her work shifts, even her study group meetings. It gets worse. Jake opened his laptop and showed us a Google document. I found this in one of her cloud accounts. The password was MyKindrens 2024, which took me about 3 tries to guess. The document was titled Reconnection Strategy and contained a detailed timeline going back 6 months. December, begin social media reconnaissance. January, establish local base of operations. February, create emotional leverage through Kevin's financial situation. March, initial contact and assessment. Look at this entry from 2 weeks ago, Maya said, reading from the screen. If direct approach fails, Emma appears most vulnerable due to financial anxieties and people-pleasing tendencies. Potential isolation opportunity during spring term when she's separated from support system. I felt sick. Sarah hadn't just been planning to ask for money, she'd been strategically analyzing my children's psychological weaknesses, looking for ways to manipulate them. There's a whole section about me and Jake too, Maya continued. Maya's medical training makes her analytical and skeptical, approach through professional channels. Jake's business success creates obligation complex, leverage family loyalty and public reputation concerns. Jake scrolled to the bottom of the document. Dad, look at the final entry. It's from yesterday, after she left our house. He read aloud, Tommy more hostile than anticipated. Children clearly indoctrinated against bio family. Need to secure at least one child's cooperation before full exposure plan. Emma best candidate due to age and isolation factors. Kevin pushing timeline due to March 15th deadline. March 15th deadline for what? I asked. That's next Friday, Maya said grimly. What happens next Friday? Before anyone could speculate, my phone rang. Unknown number again, but different from the previous texts. Tommy. Emma's voice, small and scared. Dad, I'm okay, but... The line went dead. I immediately tried calling back, disconnected number. But it was enough. Emma was alive, she was able to talk, and most importantly, she called me Dad. Whatever Sarah was telling her, Emma wasn't buying it completely. We need to find them, Maya said firmly. And we need to find them before March 15th. Jake was already typing on his laptop. I'm running searches on all of Kevin's known associates, cross-referencing with recent address changes in the area. Maya pulled out her phone. I'm calling in favors. I know people at emergency rooms throughout the state. If Emma needs medical attention, they'll contact me immediately. I looked at both of my kids, brilliant, determined, loyal to the core, and felt a surge of pride even in the middle of this nightmare. What do we do if we find them? Maya asked. I thought about Emma's terrified voice, about Sarah's calculated manipulation, about 18 years of bedtime stories and scraped knees and parent-teacher conferences. We bring our girl home. The breakthrough came from the most unexpected source, Emma's economics professor. Dr. Patricia Hendricks called my phone at 6:47 p.m. while we were still huddled in the Northwestern security office, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. Mr. Chin. I hope you don't mind me calling directly. Emma gave me your number as an emergency contact at the beginning of the semester. Dr. Hendricks, thank you for calling back. Did campus security reach you? Yes, and I have information that might help. Emma came to my office hours last Tuesday, not yesterday, but a week ago Tuesday. She seemed upset about something, kept asking hypothetical questions about financial fraud and family law. Maya grabbed my arm, leaning in to listen. What kind of questions? I asked. Very specific scenarios. What happens if someone uses your family relationships to commit fraud? Can biological parents make legal claims on adult children's assets? If someone was collecting money using your name and achievements, what kind of legal recourse would you have? My stomach dropped. Sarah's GoFundMe campaign, Emma must have found it somehow. I thought it was research for another class, Dr. Hendricks continued, but she seemed genuinely distressed. She asked me not to mention the conversation to anyone, said she was handling a delicate family situation and didn't want to worry you. Did she say anything else? Any details about the situation? She showed me something on her phone, some kind of fundraising page. Said someone was using her and her siblings' accomplishments to raise money without their permission. She was particularly upset about the wording, said it made it sound like she and her brothers had abandoned their mother, when the truth was the opposite. Jake was frantically typing, pulling up Sarah's GoFundMe page. Dad, look at the donation timeline. She got $300 in donations last Tuesday afternoon, right after Emma would have found this. Emma asked me about reporting fraud, Dr. Hendricks said. I gave her information about contacting the platform directly, but I also suggested she talk to family members before taking legal action. I'm starting to think that was bad advice. Dr. Hendricks, did Emma mention anything about meeting with this person? Any plans to confront them directly? Not exactly, but... She paused. She did ask about protective strategies for family members who might be emotionally manipulated. She seemed very concerned about someone using psychological tactics on people she cared about. Maya and I exchanged looks. Emma had been trying to protect us, just like she'd always done. Even as a kid, she'd been the family peacemaker, always trying to fix problems before anyone else got hurt. There's one more thing, Dr. Hendricks said. Emma missed turning in a major paper today, worth 30% of her final grade. In 4 years of teaching, I've never had a student more conscientious about deadlines. Something is very, very wrong. After we hung up, Jake pulled up Emma's university email account. She'd given us the password years ago for emergencies. Her inbox showed 17 increasingly frantic messages from professors, her boss at the campus bookstore, and her study group members. The last email she'd sent was at 11:43 p.m. Monday night, right after Sarah's visit to our house. The email was to her roommate Jessica. Jess, if anything happens to me this week, make sure Dad knows I found out about the GoFundMe 3 days ago. I was trying to handle it quietly so he wouldn't get hurt. The woman claiming to be our mother has raised over $1,200 by lying about us. I have screenshots of everything. I was going to report it to the police after my Tuesday classes, but then she called about the financial aid emergency, and I panicked. If she really has information that could affect my scholarships, I need to hear her out first. But if something goes wrong, make sure Dad knows I never believed her lies about him. He's the best father in the world and we all know it. Tell Maya and Jake I love them. E. The email had been saved in her drafts folder, never sent. She knew, Maya whispered. She knew it was probably a trap, but she was trying to protect us. My phone buzzed with a text from the same number Emma had called from. Emma's having such a wonderful time learning about her heritage. We're planning a special surprise for the whole family. You'll hear from us very soon. Don't try to find us, we'll come to you when we're ready. Red Heart PS, Emma says to tell you the chemistry set story was her favorite. Such precious memories to share. The blood drained from my face. The chemistry set story, how Jake had accidentally created a small explosion in our kitchen when he was 11, and we'd spent the evening at the emergency room getting his eyebrows examined. It was a family story we'd laughed about for years, but I'd never written it down anywhere. Sarah wasn't just holding Emma. She was extracting our family memories, collecting ammunition for whatever she was planning next. And we had less than 6 days to stop her. The call came at 3:17 a.m. Thursday morning, jarring me from the first real sleep I'd managed in 36 hours. Tommy. It's Carol from next door. I'm so sorry to wake you, but there's a woman on my doorstep claiming to be your cousin. She says there's a family emergency. I was instantly awake, adrenaline flooding my system. Don't let her in, Carol. Call the police right now. She has a young woman with her, Tommy. Says it's your daughter Emma. My heart stopped. Is Emma okay? Can you see her clearly? She looks tired, maybe upset, but she's standing on her own. The woman, Sarah. She's very insistent about coming inside to wait for you. Says Emma needs to rest somewhere warm. I was already pulling on clothes, gesturing frantically for Maya to wake up. She'd been sleeping on my couch, refusing to go back to her apartment until Emma was safe. Carol, listen to me carefully. Do not let them inside your house. Tell Sarah that I'm coming over right now, but keep your door locked. Can you do that? Of course, dear. Should I? The line went dead. Maya was instantly alert, years of medical training kicking in. What's happening? They're at Carol's house. 2 minutes away. I was grabbing my keys, my phone, trying to think clearly through the panic. Maya, call Jake. Tell him to get here now. Then call 911 and tell them we have a possible hostage situation at 847 Maple Drive. I was halfway out the door when my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah's number. Surprise. We're having a neighborhood reunion. Emma has so many wonderful stories to share with your friends. Come over whenever you're ready, we'll wait. Don't bring anyone official though. Emma's feeling a bit overwhelmed and too much attention might upset her. You understand. Red Heart. The 2-minute walk to Carol's house felt like the longest of my life. Every light was on in Carol's living room, and I could see silhouettes moving behind the curtains. As I approached the front door, it opened before I could knock. Sarah stood there with that same bright smile from Tuesday night, but her eyes were different now, harder, more calculating. Behind her, I could see Emma sitting on Carol's floral couch, looking pale and exhausted but unharmed. Tommy. Perfect timing. Emma and I were just telling Carol about our family history. Did you know your great-uncle served in World War II? Emma was fascinated to learn about her military heritage. Carol appeared behind Sarah, looking deeply uncomfortable. Tommy, I'm so glad you're here. We've been having quite a conversation. Emma looked up at me, and I saw something in her expression, a slight shake of her head, so subtle anyone else would miss it. But I'd been reading Emma's signals for 18 years. She was telling me to be careful, that something was wrong beyond the obvious. Emma, sweetheart, are you okay? I kept my voice calm, gentle. I'm fine, Dad. Her voice was steady, but I caught the slight emphasis on Dad. Sarah's been telling me lots of interesting stories about our family. Stories? I stepped into Carol's living room, noting that Sarah had positioned herself between Emma and the door. Oh yes, Sarah said brightly. I was just explaining to Emma how genetics work, how talents and abilities get passed down through biological families. Emma's so smart, clearly gets that from my side. My father was brilliant with numbers, just like Emma is with her economics classes. Emma's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Sarah also told me about the money people have donated to help with our reunion. Very generous strangers, contributing to our family reconciliation. There was something in the way Emma said generous strangers that made my skin crawl. What kind of contributions? Carol asked innocently. Sarah's smile flickered for just a moment. Just some friends who believe in the power of family healing. $1,200 so far, Emma said quietly. From people who think they're helping a mother reunite with children who abandoned her. The room went completely silent. Sarah's mask dropped for just a second before snapping back into place. Emma, sweetie, you're tired. You're not explaining it correctly. Actually, I think I am. Emma's voice was gaining strength. Sarah's been very educational about fundraising fraud. Did you know it's a federal crime to solicit donations under false pretenses? Especially when you're using real people's names and achievements without permission. Carol was looking back and forth between us like she was watching a tennis match. I'm sorry, I don't understand what's happening here. What's happening, Emma said, standing up slowly, is that Sarah here has been running an online scam using me and my brothers as bait. She's collected over $1,200 by telling people we abandoned our poor, recovering mother. Sarah's face went white. That's not. Emma, you're confused. Am I? Because I spent the last 2 days reviewing everything. Your multiple GoFundMe accounts, your fake social media profiles, your very detailed surveillance of our family. Emma walked toward me, Sarah moving to intercept her. Did you know she has screenshots of Jake's business calendar going back 3 months? Or that she knows Maya's rotation schedule at the hospital? My phone was buzzing in my pocket, probably Maya with updates, but I didn't dare take my eyes off Sarah. Emma's been under a lot of stress, Sarah said to Carol, her voice taking on a concerned, motherly tone. Learning about her family history, dealing with complex emotions. Sometimes young people get overwhelmed and lash out. You mean like how I've lashed out when you told me Dad was keeping me from knowing my real family? Emma's air quotes were sharp as knives. Or when you suggested that maybe my siblings and I owed you financial support since you gave us life. Carol's expression was hardening by the second. In 30 years of neighborhood barbecues and borrowed sugar, I'd never seen her look genuinely angry. But Carol had helped me with the kids more times than I could count, babysitting during my night classes, bringing soup when they were sick, celebrating every graduation and achievement. Sarah, Carol said, her voice deceptively mild, are you telling me you've been asking these children for money? It's not asking, it's family supporting each other during difficult times. After abandoning them for 18 years. Carol stepped closer to Sarah. Tommy's told me about those early days. Crying babies, sleepless nights, working double shifts just to keep food on the table. Where exactly were you during the difficult times? Emma seized the moment to move around Sarah, reaching my side. I put my arm around her shoulders, feeling some of the tension leave my body now that she was within reach. The really interesting part, Emma continued, is her boyfriend Kevin's situation. Apparently he owes $15,000 in back child support and has some pressing gambling debts. Funny how that almost exactly matches what Sarah calculated she could get from us. Sarah was backing toward the door now, realizing she'd lost control of the narrative. Emma, you don't understand the whole situation. I understand that you drove a stolen car to my campus. I understand that you've been planning this con for months. And I really understand that you picked the wrong family to mess with. Emma pulled out her phone, showing us a recording app that had been running. I've got everything from the last 48 hours. Every lie, every manipulation attempt, every detail about your little scheme. Sarah's face went from white to red to something approaching purple. You recorded me without consent. Emma smiled, a cold expression I'd never seen on her face before. Actually, I asked permission. You said yes. It's right there at the beginning of Wednesday's recording. That's when Sarah ran. Sarah made it exactly 12 steps down Carol's front walk before 2 Henderson police cruisers pulled up, lights flashing. Maya had called in the cavalry while I was inside, and Jake was getting out of the passenger seat of the lead car. That's her, Jake called out, pointing at Sarah, who had frozen like a deer in headlights. That's the woman who's been stalking our family. The next hour was a blur of police statements, evidence collection, and phone calls. Emma's recordings were gold, not just Sarah's admissions about the fundraising fraud, but also Kevin coaching her in the background on what to say, how much to ask for, which family members to target first. The kidnapping charges probably won't stick, Officer Martinez explained as they put Sarah in the back of the patrol car. Emma went voluntarily initially, and she's an adult. But we've got fraud, identity theft, using stolen vehicles, and harassment. That's looking at 3 to 5 years, minimum. Kevin was arrested at a motel in Springfield with $1,200 in cash and a notebook containing detailed plans for extracting money from the doctor, the business owner, and the law student. Apparently he'd already spent Emma's supposed commitment on his gambling debts. The GoFundMe page was shut down within hours, with all donations refunded. The fake social media accounts were suspended. Sarah's detailed surveillance files became evidence in a federal investigation of organized online fraud. But the real satisfaction came 3 days later, at Jake's award ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake said from the podium, looking confident and proud in his best suit, I want to thank everyone who made this recognition possible. But especially, I want to thank my dad. The spotlight found me in the audience, sitting between Maya and Emma. Emma squeezed my hand. Tommy Chin took in 3 scared kids 22 years ago when their birth mother abandoned them. He was 18 years old, had no money, no experience, and no help. But he gave us everything, his time, his energy, his dreams for himself, so we could build our own dreams. The applause was thunderous. I felt tears starting in my eyes. Some people think family is about biology, Jake continued. But real family is about showing up. Every single day, for 22 years, through homework battles and teenage drama and college applications and broken hearts, my dad showed up. Maya leaned over and whispered, he's not done. Last week, someone tried to convince us that we owed loyalty to the woman who gave birth to us. That we should be grateful to the person who, quote, gave us life. But here's what I know about giving life, it's not a one-time event. It's a daily choice. It's making school lunches and attending soccer games and staying up all night when your kid has pneumonia. Emma was crying now, good tears. My dad gave me life every single day for 22 years. He gave it to my sisters too. And the best part? He's still doing it. Still showing up, still proud of us, still the first person we call with good news or bad news or no news at all. Jake looked directly at me. So thank you, Dad. For choosing us every single day. For making us a family. And for showing us what real love looks like. The standing ovation lasted 5 full minutes. Later, as we walked to our cars, Emma threw her arm around my shoulders. You know what the funniest part is, she said. Sarah kept telling me I should be grateful to her for giving me life. But she was right about one thing, I am grateful for my life. Just not to her. She grinned up at me. Thanks for the chemistry set, Dad. And everything else. 22 years of being their father, and I've never felt prouder of the family we'd built together. Sarah got 4 years. She'll be eligible for parole in 2. We'll still be a family forever.